Welcome back to my channel at The Movie Optimist, where I try and find the silver linings in even the worst of films. It has now officially been 8 full weeks, and we are at the conclusion of Peacemaker Season 2. And I'm just gonna say it right off the bat, I loved this season. I thought that the inclusion of the universe where Nazis won World War II and ruled over the world was really unique, really inventive. Of course, we all seen it coming. We all knew that something was off when we didn't see any people of color, any minorities in this world that Peacemaker was inhabiting. But he was blinded by the fact that in this new universe that he found, his dad was still alive and not a piece of shit. His brother was still alive and was a superhero just like him. And he had his family. He had Amelia Harcourt, who was in love with him in this universe. So he kind of had these blinders on where he didn't notice all of the imperfections of this world, even though Nazis ruling is a really big one. But like, I get it. You're coming from a universe where you're so hated to one where you're considered a hero. It's easy to keep the blinders on, essentially, which is what happened. And I loved the themes of this movie of wanting to fit in and feeling like you don't belong. And it's a theme that has kind of carried over from Superman, where one of my favorite parts of the Superman film was the speech he gives at the end to Lex about being human. And here, it really felt like this whole season was him just wanting to fit in and be accepted and not be hated. And I thought that that resonated really well. I thought James Gunn got that across really well. One of the things that I love that James Gunn does that was lacking in the Zack Snyder universe, say what you will, I know there's a bunch of people that don't like James Gunn. They don't like his comedy. They don't like his style. They miss the godlike structure that Zack Snyder did. But I didn't feel like those movies had any heart. I felt like they were missing this heart of a through line, which James Gunn excels at. He does really well in the Guardians of the Galaxy films, and he does it really well here in Peacemaker. He did it really well, at least in my opinion, in Superman. And all of that stuff just resonated with me. Seeing the speech that Adebayo gives him at the end about how he touches everyone that he's around. Because of him, she believes in miracles and she knows that he loves her. And like, just this feeling of like, even when you feel like you're alone, the chances are there are people there in your corner that your depression and your anxiety just won't let you see. And it's just a really heartwarming thing. And I got teared up when they were having that conversation. And then to see him finally have that full circle moment with Harcourt, where she finally gives in and tells him that what happened on the boat did mean something to her. She does care about him, but she's just afraid to show her feelings, and she's confined and doesn't like to let people know how she's feeling because she's self-conscious. And it was just such a heartwarming moment, and he got her in the end. He got the girl in the end, and that in and of itself also made me tear up. I'm a very emotional person. I'm not gonna sugarcoat that. I'm not gonna lie. I get choked up at shit like that. I love Nicholas Sparks movies. I love a movie that hits me in the feels, and that's what James Gunn does so well. He did it so well in Guardians, especially Guardians 3, with you thinking that you were gonna lose Rocket, and then him finally figuring out that he was in fact a raccoon at the end. Like, all of that, he just does it so well, and he tells these ensemble stories of these misfits so well, and it's so perfect for a Peacemaker. And look, I know a lot of people didn't like the ending. I hear you, I hear you, I hear you. In a lot of ways, it does feel like we're left on a massive cliffhanger, but I kind of akin this to the way I felt about the show Supernatural. Every season was about a specific thing that they were going through, and towards the end of the seasons, in the final episode, they would complete the mission or wrap up what that season was about, but then the season would tease what's to come next season. So it kind of leaves you on a cliffhanger of what you're going to expect. And that's kind of how I felt here. I felt that there was enough closure to make me happy, and then enough excitement in the setup of the future. I mean, look, he started off this show miserable. He hated himself. He didn't feel like he belonged. He didn't feel like anyone cared about him. And then he ended the show realizing that he was loved by his friends. He was loved by the girl that he himself loves. And he learned from Adebayo that the reason why nothing ever worked was because he was always trying to be what everybody else wanted him to be, and he was never listening to his gut and being himself. And I think that that's a really important message, that you need to be who you are and listen to what your gut tells you and act on that. And like I said, he got the girl, he got the friends, he got the job. They used all of the blood money that Vigilante acquired from all the drug dens that he's crippled with his vigilantisms, and they opened up Checkmate, which is from the comics, like an agency where they're to protect people, and everything worked out for him in the end. And then it gets captured by Rick Flag and thrown into these Salvation universe, where if you don't know what that is, a lot of people I saw online were speculating that it's dinosaurs. It's not. It's a planet where Darkseid sends his parademons to go to train. And those creatures that you heard at the end, if James Gunn is adapting it right from the book, is parademons. So it seems to be that he's setting up Darkseid, and I just found it fascinating. Do I think that that's going to be the villain of Man of Tomorrow? No, I don't. But I think that he's setting up, in a lot of ways, the way that Marvel set up Thanos, that Darkseid is the big bad that we're probably going to see them fight in a Justice League movie, not necessarily the Man of Tomorrow sequel. But overall, as much as I was left scratching my head at the fact that he is now trapped on the Salvation Planet away from all of his friends and family, I love this season. And James Gunn said that we're going to see the culmination of what happens to Peacemaker in future installments of the movies. He didn't say that we're getting another season, but he said that John Cena's character will be very important going forward. So we're going to see him pop up. We're going to get closure to it. And he was just building the world out. And I'm okay with that because, again, I did get the closure I wanted with all the other threads that they set up in this season. But that's just my opinion. You know, I'm sure you have a different one. I'm going to give this show a 9 out of 10. I think it was just as good, if not a little bit better, with a little bit more heart than season 1. It's amazing how this character went from someone that you just wanted to hate and you wanted to see get killed after he killed Rick Flag to now he's one of the most fan favorite characters of the DC universe. And it's a really beautiful full circle moment where you could take somebody that's so hated and make them someone so beloved. And that's only something that James Gunn can do as well as he does. And I can't wait to see him be a part of the overall DC cinematic universe and fight alongside the Justice League and get his day. I feel like that's the through line of Peacemaker. That's the thing, right? Whereas in Rocket Raccoon was the through line of all the Guardians films, where James Gunn himself said that all 3 of those movies were leading to the culmination of Rocket figuring out who he was. I think that would be a really beautiful thing if all of the DC universe is slowly building to allowing Peacemaker to be the hero that he so desperately wanted to be. And that to me is just such a beautiful thing. But yeah, guys, I clearly love this season. But what did you guys think? What were your thoughts on this season? I'd love to talk about it in the comments down below. And as always, guys, I hope you have a great rest of your week, and I'll catch you next time.